actually. So yeah, that's from there I got to know how many opportunities there are in our CSE branch. So then I started exploring branches one by one. In my first semester, I was learning Flutter. Flutter is basically an app development course. I mean, it is a language that we use. I mean, for app development, you can also go for Kotlin or Java and anything else like that. So that was for the guide purpose. So yeah, you can always go to YouTube. Okay.
Excuse me,
Then
Aditi. Actually, someone in the audience cannot hear you properly. Can you just hold your mic nearer to your mouth or something like that?
hello.
Yeah, you're audible now.
Am I audible? I mean, completely audible now. No breaking,
Yeah,
no low voice.
no, it's pretty good right now.
Actually, I'm holding my mic right now. I don't know what was the issue with that. So how? I mean, till where I was clear?
You were telling us about app development languages, Swift,
Yeah.
Kotlin, and all.
Yeah. Actually, my first semester, I started learning Flutter. You can go with whatever things that you like or whatever fields you find interesting in your period. I mean, uh, you can always go to YouTube for that. Actually, right now Kotlin is very famous. You can start learning it, and I think most of the people in this seminar are from first and second year only, right? Right, Ishita?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So, this is a very good time for you to start because जितना जल्दी करोगे उतना better है. So, yeah, you guys have a lot of time and packed in this quarantine period. Especially, you have a lot of time for yourself and to start anything new. So, yeah. And then we come to CP exactly. Like CP is very important because for any written exam, you have to, you have to prepare for competitive programming. There will be two or more questions from CP, and if you get them correctly, your paper will be cleared. I mean, for me, I think that those were the two questions. Those two questions of CP were the game changer because I got them correctly. And actually, the exam was same for the second year and third year. So yeah, I think that those two questions of CP were the game changer for me. So now let's discuss from where you can learn CP. See, you cannot learn everything from college. First of all, college will tell you only the basic knowledge about anything. For the deeper knowledge, you have to go to YouTube or some other online courses. From there, you can learn CP very well. And I don't think in college they teach you. I mean, from where they teach you C language, then they teach you C plus plus. But they never complete the course exactly. And they also never tell you to do CP on the online platforms and etc. etc. You can start CP from HackerRank or CodeForces, CodeChef. I mean, this is the general way of doing competitive programming. But I would not suggest this because I did not use this process. Because the questions that you see on these platforms are never the questions that come in your come in any company's exam. Company's exam questions are very basic. They use the very basic knowledge of yours. They do not go for object-oriented programming or very tough concepts. They just use the basic concepts in their questions. Oh, sorry. Actually, I dropped the mic. So, what I did was that I started coding on HackerRank. Then I went to CodeForces for a little time. Then I started looking questions from LeetCode. LeetCode questions will really take a lot of your time. For example, first question that I did from LeetCode took 6 hours for me to solve it. And yeah, that was my first experience on LeetCode. Then you can always search questions from Geeks for Geeks. I never did questions from code forces directly or like that. I always went for company based questions from Geeks for Geeks. You can always find questions over there from previous year interviews or things like that. Then we will talk about extra courses. See, extra courses are very important because CP alone cannot save you. It will help you in getting the exam cleared, but it cannot help you in clearing the interview round for the company. In interview round, they will always ask for your projects and projects, and you can always develop projects on some other courses that you do, because how can you differentiate every college student basically, because every college student is learning CP, but how to be better in that? For that, you have to learn some other things like web development, app development, or IoT, ML. There are so many things that you can learn. You just have to find your interest from, as I've told you before, workshops or YouTube or whatever that you prefer, or your senior or your guide. Okay. So extra courses. If you have some extra courses, like if you have done extra courses, web development, for example, you can make so many projects from that, and they will really help you in your resume. Then projects. See, basically the question that so many of you ask will, that what type of project is where to get the project ideas, or what kind of projects you should make. See, you are in second year or first year, so it doesn't matter that, how tough your project is. See, you should always try to make your best project, but it's not always possible to make a very good project in the beginning, and first and second years are beginners, obviously. And uh, yeah, so I was saying, so projects, you can always start from like making basic projects and then going to the advanced projects. As you will keep learning, you will be able to make your projects very properly. And it is always important. It is always a good strategy to make projects while you are learning a course, because I think that when you are learning something, you should also keep implementing it on something else. Your project. So while you are learning something like web development or app development, try to make a project. Just don't grab the knowledge and just don't fill yourself up with the knowledge. Try to implement it on a project. Okay, then let's come on how I applied for this internship exactly. So when I was in my third semester, my college told me that there is an opportunity, Adobe Sheet Course, from which I can apply for this internship. I mean, okay. So which I can apply to the Adobe Sheet Code. See, basically Adobe does not contact a student directly. They always contact your placement team. So it might not. Many colleges don't even know about Adobe Sheet Code. So if you know, Adobe Sheet Codes, I think is happening from last 4 to 3 years. So you can go to your placement team in your college and tell them that Adobe Sheet Codes is happening, or something else, or whatever exam is going on right now. Because most of the companies don't contact with the student; they always contact your placement team. So you can always go to your placement team for all this and tell them that it is happening and you want to take part in it. So yeah, that's how you can go and apply for Sheet Codes. Then the first was to fill the form, and then there was the resume round. So yeah, here your projects, your extra courses, your extra skills, your interest really matters a lot, because on what basis they will differentiate you from other students in your college. Let's not talk about all over the India. Let's just talk about your college. So how will they differentiate you from other people in your college? They will see that, coding is something that all of us learn in our college period, right? But what else you have done? For example, if you have done any other course, if you have learned some other language that most of you don't know because it has not been taught in your college. So yeah, there your extra skills really matters a lot, because in your resume there and also your projects really matter in this, because how can you differentiate someone if they have not done any project? How can you judge someone that they have the knowledge of that particular thing if they have not developed any project on that? It's like, just you have the knowledge but you have not implemented it on something. So how would they know that you have, like, your project is like a proof, like, that you have the knowledge on that subject basically. And Then, if we talk about your, if we talk about how you can, how to make your resume exactly. So you can always add your, marks in your resume first of all, because in your second and third year you don't have so much to add on to your resume. So yeah, you can add your marks into that if they're good. If they're good, you should not like add your 10th or 12th marks. If they're not good, do not add them in your resume. Okay. Then, if you talk about where you can make your resume, you have Canva, Overleaf, and Excel, and other websites. But never go for the word-based resume, because word-based resume is really the worst resume I have ever seen. So do not go for the word resume. Then we can add skills. Like in the skills section, you can add your courses that you have done, languages that you know, or anything else that you have learned in your period of, in your college life, or whatever extra things you have done. Do not add things like I like to play basketball or things like that into like, a big column or something. You can just add the interest column and code these things into that. And then there is the project section, which really matters a lot, because interviewer is really interested in your project. So yeah, the more projects you have done, the more chances you have to be selected in that round. So yeah, and you can always enter details like if you have volunteered in something or things like that basically. Okay. And projects should be more quality projects. Okay. See, I mean, in that project, it should be displayed that you have actually done the job completely. It should not be a left. It should not be a half project. And if you have actually done that project, then only add it to your resume. Basically, do not add a false project, because, and basically, you're at the time of interview, your interviewer can really ask you to open your project, and he or she can actually point at one particular line of your code and ask you to explain that line, or how that line is helping in your project. So do not add any fake project or something like that. And when you're making a project, make it I mean make your own project. Do not copy from anywhere, because that is the worst thing that a person can do. I know a girl, and she actually did it, and her interviewer really asked her that what is this project actually doing, how can you tell me that her interviewer actually pointed to a particular line of a code in her code. Then she was not able to explain the interviewer that what was that line completely doing, and in fact what was that function even doing, she was not able to explain, because that was not her original project. Okay, so do not like try to play with the interviewer at that time. Okay. Then after the resume round, it was the coding round. See, coding round, there were questions from, most of the questions were from DBMS, operating system, networking, that we have not studied till our second year. See, so, and yeah, there were questions from DSA and normal output questions, but there were like, if you say there were only 20% of the questions that we have studied till second year. Most of the questions were from third year. DBMS and these subjects are in third year. So yeah, but then there were four sections in my exam. Basically, first was aptitude, then it was technical skills, then coding round, and then gaming round. See, most of you don't know what is the gaming round is. I'll come to that later. First one was the aptitude. Aptitude, so that was that normal one. Then there were technical questions, as I was telling you, DBMS questions and questions like that. So I was also able to do only like 30% of them. Then there were coding questions. See, coding questions, as I have told you before, they are the game changers. If you are able to crack them, then yes, there is a lot of probability that you will clear the exam. Because I was very, I was able to solve both the questions with complete 100% accuracy. That's why I think I got selected, because in the technical round, I was not able to do many questions. because most of the questions for me were out of syllabus for me because I was in third semester only that time. And then there was the gaming ground. Gaming ground. You have seen questions like if you basically it is to test your memory. They will show you dots on the screen and you have to tell them that this was the first dot, second dot, third dot, things like that. It is not so tough. It is easy to do basically. So it was not a game changer. Game changer were only coding questions. Then there was after clearing the exam, the last round was the interview round. See, in the interview round, uh, we have 1 hour and one interviewer at that time. Oh, yeah, actually, this exam is for only girls. So, I mean, I don't know if there are boys or not, but this particular exam is for girls. There are many exams that Adobe takes, but she codes is for girls only. Okay. Then, yeah, the interview round. See, basically, my interviewer was more interested in knowing me as a person, and she talked. She started talking about like, I mean, tell me about yourself. Why do you want to join Adobe as a product management intern? And then she came to my projects. Yeah, she came to my projects. Basically, I mean, I had the 4 or 5 projects at that time. She was like literally interested. She was very interested in my IoT projects because I told her that I have started learning IoT recently and I have made two. I mean, I think I had 4 projects and 2 of them were on IoT. See, basically, interview will go for the things that you have mostly mentioned in your resume. See, I mean, 2 of my projects were from IoT. That's why my interviewer is very interested in going for my IoT knowledge. I don't know even if if Adobe makes products related to IoT or not, but she was very interested in IoT that time. Then she asked me how can I innovate my projects even more. What was the drawback? I mean, if there is any drawback that I have noticed in my project, and how can I overcome that? And uh, how can I improve my projects even more? What more ideas I can implement on this? Things like that. And then she asked me questions related to object-oriented programming, DSA. Uh, yeah. Actually, she asked me if, actually, I told her that I'm in third semester. So she did not ask me questions that were beyond third semester. So, yeah, she asked me, but she asked me in very depth about, DSA and object oriented programming in C++. I told her that my programming language is C++. So she kept asking me questions related to that. She basically asked me what is the basic concept of object oriented programming. So it is like if you have the knowledge, you should be able to explain it to others completely. See, it is also a merit and see, being in second year has both merits and demerits. See, because in second year you do not have so much things on which the interviewer can ask you, and but the demerit is whatever you know they will ask you in very depth. See, I mean they can even ask you about, but they will go in very depth basically. See, my interviewer literally asked me everything related to data structures that I have studied that time. And then she asked me everything that I have studied in object oriented programming, like literally everything, because didn't have much to ask me that time. So yeah, that was the whole, I mean, project and the questions that she asked me. Then she asked me some personal questions related to my future goals and things like that. Then she asked me what is my main aim after achieving, achieving this internship. What would I do if I get to become the product management intern in their company? And then I asked her, what's her role in Adobe, and that's it. Yeah, that's it for the interview round. And yeah, I mean, after 2 days, I got the mail back that yes, wait, hello, well, hello,
Yeah, Didi.
okay. So after that, I got the email back that I have been offered with the internship. So that was all. I mean, this was all my internship process and how I got this.
Okay, thank you for sharing your experience with us, Aditi. The portal is open for your question, guys. If you have anything in your mind, you can clear it out by unmuting yourself, or you can write it in chat box also.
Hello,
Hello.
am I audible?
Yes, you're
Yes, yes, you're audible.
Okay. Okay, there's this question what I want to ask. What are the courses you pursued that actually helped you in grabbing this opportunity?
See, actually, I was learning Flutter in my first semester. Then I moved on to web development. I did not complete my Flutter course. But yeah, I got very far in the web development course. Web development and IoT were the things that really helped me, in making my projects. And I was also learning Python in second semester. So I developed projects on from Python like sentiment classifier and movie recommendation system. uh, Courses you can get from Coursera, YouTube, Udemy. I mean, there is no particular course which I can suggest you because, you don't, people find different courses according to themselves because every teacher is different and every student is different. So that's why. Hello?
Hello. Hi Aditi. I
Hi.
want to ask that how you kept yourself motivated while doing all the coding and competitive programming. Like you only said lead code, you did one question in 6 hours.
Yeah, there was always this motivation that I want to solve questions from lead code because questions from code forces HackerRank won't help you really. See, they are very basic questions, and these questions never come in any exam. These are just to open your mind, your aptitude, your basically your mental ability to think. That's it. So I always wanted to do CP actually. There was no other thing that I was very interested in. So in my free time, I always used to do competitive programming. So it was more like for me, it was more like my hobby. I mean, kind of my hobby at that particular time. You can say.
Aditi, we have a question in chat box from Ketan. He's asking that is it better to keep a balance between CP and projects or go in depth for a particular topic?
See, you can develop projects from CP also. See, there are so many projects that you can develop from C++, Java, or whatever language that you are learning. There is nothing that you have to go in depth of that one thing or that one thing. But yeah, in CP, you should, it's not like you can always keep learning from CP. Every question is new, every question is new. So every thinking process that you get there is new for you. So it's more like, there is, you can always maintain a balance. It's not like you should keep learning one thing forever. It's like in CP, basically there is nothing to learn. It's more like innovative idea. I mean, more like your thinking process. But in your projects, yes, you have to go in very depth if you want to make really good projects that matter in your resume. Because basic projects won't matter in your resume.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Nandini.
Like what platform do you think is like reliable to find out about like internships, like such internships?
Okay, okay. Internships. You can always find internships. Actually, I got to know about She Course from my college. Okay, you can Google it, what internships are going on right now in which company or like that, and then you can take it to your placement team and you can make them aware that this internship is going on right now and you want to participate in that.
So, what according to you is the best time to apply for an internship?
See, basically, it depends on your knowledge that you have and which company and which role for which you are applying. See, I did not have much knowledge. In fact, I was not even confident if I would be able to do this or not. So it's like things just happen maybe for everyone. See, it's like there is no particular time. If you feel that you are confident enough, just keep on giving the internship exams. See, it will make your practice. It will only give you a little more experience in that field, and giving many interviews as possible is very good for you. Maybe you know. See, I mean, there is no particular time for. I mean, at which you should go for internship. You can go for internship at any particular time. Because see, mm, it's like you can actually see. It does not depend that at what time you should go for internships. You can go at any time whenever you feel that yes, you are ready for that.
Hi, Ritik. Actually, I wanted to know about how important is it to have a LinkedIn profile? Like, is it beneficial to have one or not?
Yes, it is very important to have a LinkedIn profile because Adobe actually asked us to give the LinkedIn profile along with our resume. So I think they really check if you are on LinkedIn or not, and it is very important for you to connect with people because if you're not on LinkedIn, you know that there are things that you can do on your own. But when you connect with a network of people, you get to know about more opportunities and more things that are happening in the world and on what things you can concentrate and to it's like having a guide over the LinkedIn also. You can see people's project and how they have done it, and then you can get a guidance from there also. Like you can get project ideas from there, like how you should make your projects and yeah, things like that. And I think people also recognize you once you have done something. You get recognition for that on LinkedIn. So it's good to have a LinkedIn profile.
Okay, thank you so much.
Is there anything else that you want to ask?
So, what should be the beginner language one should learn?
See, according to me, it should be C language. I mean, not even C. C++ is good. But for DSA, I think actually for DSA also C++ is good. So for me, C++ was my language. But there is no particular language that a person can say because को अलग अलग languages पसंद आती है. So that's why. But I would really suggest you to go for C++ as a beginner language.
How many language like one should learn to crack some interview, or like he
See,
should learn Java also, C also, Python also?
no, it's not like that. And most of the companies don't allow Python as their coding language because in Python things are really easy to do by just adding one library. So the languages that are allowed in most of the coding rounds are C, C Sharp, C++, and Java. So it is very, I mean, it's not like you should learn every language. You should just master one language and go forward with it and try to make projects with that one language. But it's good to learn more languages. You should have the basic idea about every language basically because you don't know that on which language you will be working after you go inside the company. They can always tell you to learn Java at that time, but if you have some basic prior knowledge, it is very good for you. It will be helpful for you. That's it. It's not like how many languages you know. It is about how many languages that you master.
Aditi, Mohammed in chat is asking which language you suggest, Java or Python.
Actually, I would not suggest any of them because Java is basically object oriented programming, and I myself do not find Java very interesting. So for me, it was C++, but yeah, Python is out of the picture for this because for the coding rounds, Python won't be allowed. So learning Python as your first language won't help you. So yeah, you can go for Java if you are really interested in Java.
Okay, and Varad Mundra is asking, for you it was clear to go for CP, but what for students who are not sure what to do? Should they go on exploring or stick to one topic and do the internship?
See, it is very important for you to explore. That's why I've told you to attend workshops or see some online videos, whatever there are, whatever the possible scopes that are there in CSE branch. See, CSE core is something in which you will learn everything, but the basics only. For to master something, you have to learn on your own because college will never teach you anything completely. See, there are many options like machine learning, AI, blockchain, IoT. I mean, there are so many things, cloud computing. So it is like you should always keep exploring. You will always find your interest in that. And if you have actually found your interest, then just work on that. And nobody is saying you to work on that forever. You can just switch your things in between. But yeah, if you're learning something, go on with that till you are sure that yeah, you have learned enough that you can make projects on that and you can actually tell someone that yeah, you have a knowledge of that because somewhere inside you will always know if you have the knowledge or not.
Next, Rishi Raj is asking, how can we manage both the college studies and learning programming?
College studies and learning programming. Okay, actually, when I was in third semester and second semester also, I really got lucky because of this whole quarantine thing. I actually, I did not give much preference to my college studies at that time because our college exams were happening online and syllabus got really easy in that time. So you can manage, but in the first semester I was learning Flutter, so yeah, I managed between that college studies and learning extra things. See, college marks are really important, I agree, but in the company, maintaining a CGPA of I think above 8. I mean above 8 most of the above in our college all the students are allowed which are above from 7 CGPA, but yeah, companies like Amazon and Google etc., they don't allow you if your CGPA is below 9. So like try to keep your CGPA around 9 or 9.1, you know, because CGPA actually matters at the time of interview. Because if there are 3-4 candidates of equal qualification, equal skills and things like that, how will they differentiate? They will go for your marks in that case. So if you're talking about the management between your studies and extra courses, so I will suggest that try to grab most of the things that are taught in college in the class time only, and then study it. Just keep studying it regularly and try to give your extra projects around 2 or 1 hour daily. That's enough. You can also learn like from that because 2 or 1 hours is enough if you're learning every day. If you're consistent, then 1 or 2 hours is enough.
Next is Sushrita. She is asking, can you suggest something about projects to a person who has zero knowledge about it? Like the exact process, starting phase, platform to use, and stuff like that.
Okay, okay, okay. You can, find basically find your interest in, what you want to learn, and explore first of all, like in which field you want to go, and then find yourself a course over that on YouTube. You can find free courses, like so many free courses, and very affordable courses on Udemy. So from there also you can get project ideas because while you are learning I mean for example, if you're learning anything, they always teach you in the form of project on Udemy. I also learned web development and Flutter from Udemy only. So they always encourage you to learn while making a project. You can get ideas from there, and you can get ideas from YouTube, etc. It's like whatever you are learning, try to implement it on a project because you're learning something daily if you're giving your time daily to your courses. So whatever you are learning daily, implement it on your project. You can actually, you will be actually able to make some really good projects from that. And try to make, if you're if you're learning web development, then see some website and try to implement on your own. So yeah, you can always find projects on YouTube also.
Okay, Muhammad is asking, is it okay to learn basic of extra courses or we should go deep into it?
See, with the basics won't help you forever, right? And you cannot always learn everything. See, it is not possible for you to learn machine learning also, blockchain also, and everything in detail. You can always learn the basics only, okay, in everything. Like, there should be one thing which you know in very depth, in which you know everything almost. So it's not like, basics will help. Basics will not really help you. It will just give you an idea, okay, this thing works like that. You might be able to explain it to other people like, okay, this thing works like that, but you won't be able to make project on that. And if you're not able to make project on that, then it is not useful.
Next is Priyanshu Raj asking from which sim we should start reading.
Reading what?
He has not mentioned, but I suppose he's asking about programming languages only.
First semester, as early as you start, it is better. You know, जितना जल्दी हो सके उतना बेटर है. If you guys are in first year, it is really a good period for you, especially because of all this quarantine time. You actually have a lot of time for yourself and for your extra courses. You can actually give 4 to 5 hours to your extra studies because you don't have to attend college physically. You might be having the online classes, but still you have a lot of time. Every one of us know that.
Next is Chitransh. He is asking, I have started learning WebD a week back. I've learned HTML and CSS, but I don't know where to practice it. So can you please suggest some place to practice?
Try making some projects over that HTML, CSS. You can make your resume. I mean, yeah, you can make your resume website from that HTML and CSS, and it will be really helpful if you will learn JavaScript along with it. You will be able to make many more good projects in the front end field with the help of that. Then you can go for Angular in the front end section, and you will be able to make even more. I mean, more better projects with that.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, Aditya, I wanted to ask if adding course certificates to your resume is useful or just like very good projects is enough.
See, adding the projects is really important. Those certificates won't really help you because people can make fake certificates. That's why.
Yeah, that's there. Yeah.
So projects are the most important thing. I mean, they are the only proof that you know this.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
Is there any more question, guys? You can still write it in chat box. I think we are done with this. So I hope this was helpful to everyone present over here, and we can surely learn a thing or two from her. We were very grateful to have you here, Aditi. Further, I'd like to thank our principal sir and faculties for joining on this webinar. I'd like to request you all to please turn on your camera so we can take screenshot to post it on our social media handles. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining. It was really nice meeting you all. Thank you.
Thank you all for joining. Have a nice day.